A man wrongfully imprisoned for nearly 20 years for a crime he did not commit. Dr. Marvin Cotton Jr. spoke at the Rocky Mountain Innocence Center's annual breakfast earlier today. He stopped by the 2 News studio to chat with Brian Schnee.
Really happy to have some special guests tonight with us here in studio. Christy Columbia from Rocky Mountain Innocence Center, kind enough to join us, and Dr. Marvin Cotton Jr., who spoke as a keynote speaker at one of the RMIC events early this morning, so that was really nice. It was a pleasure to introduce you. We'll get to your story in just a moment and why you're here and the message you're able to share. Christy, I want to know more about the Innocence Center. For folks that have never seen this before, maybe not exposed to it, what is it that you do and what are the goals you hope to accomplish?
So at Rocky Mountain Innocence Center, this is our 25th year. We have been working in Utah, Nevada, and Wyoming to prevent and correct wrongful convictions. So we are the only organization in those 3 states that offers post-conviction pro bono investigation and litigation services.
And you've had some successes.
We have had some successes. We've had 9 exonerations over the years. I believe since 2022, we have had 5 clients released from prison. We still have over 40 active cases right now, and we receive over 200 requests for our help every year.
Marvin, it was an honor to be able to introduce you this morning and then obviously hear you speak at the event that took place here in downtown Salt Lake City. 19 years, 7 months, 12 days. I mean,
Yes.
It's a long time, almost 20 years.
Yes.
You were incarcerated for a crime you did not commit, exonerated. Take me through it.
Well, in 2001, I was wrongfully arrested and eventually wrongfully convicted, served 19 years, 7 months, 12 days, and I was exonerated a little over 4 years ago. So I'm from Michigan, so this all took place in Michigan. I served all of that time in Michigan, and I was also sentenced to a natural life sentence without the possibility of parole.
Now today you were able to share your message with some attorneys, with some prosecutors, and anyone else that filled the room there in downtown Salt Lake City. What was the message you wanted to share with them?
I wanted attorneys, prosecutors, and all of the legal people that was in the room to know that the answers or the solutions to the problems that we face is right there in the room. So that's literally the message that I wanted to convey.
What are some of the common questions you get? You speak really all over the country, and you speak to all different groups. Someone asked you about speaking in prisons today, for example, and speaking at other Innocence Center sort of events. What are the common things you get asked about in your circumstance?
The number one question that people ask is, how did you get through that time? That's the number one question. They want to know how.
How'd you do it?
I put it in my book. My book is actually called Better Not Broken, and I wrote a book to answer those questions. My toolkit, the kit that I used in order to make it through the time. How did I grow under those circumstances opposed to devolving or coming out broken?
I know in your book you kind of go through the story and you shared more in depth, I guess, what it was like to get out.
Yes.
Can you touch on reflecting of what that was like to finally have that ability to leave the prison you were incarcerated in and never look back? That's a big takeaway, I remember. Absolutely.
Those first steps out of prison are really filled with sensory overload. It's so much going on. You're taking in so many new things that it's really overwhelming, and you really start to feel the trauma of the 20 years that I went through. You start feeling all of the trauma on day one, and it takes a long time to start working your way through it. So that was the initial. Of course, I was happy. I was excited. But I couldn't feel most of it because I was still dealing with the trauma of the wrongful conviction.
Christy, you and Marvin obviously have talked before, and to hear his story, to hear so many stories from other folks, especially ones that you've been able to help, what did you take away from his words today to the room?
I think just his message about being hopeful for everything, being thankful for everything, knowing that no matter what your organization is or your profession is or your lack of legal skills or knowledge, it doesn't make a difference. You can still have an impact in your community, partnering together, doing the right thing, and even when it's not easy or popular to do, it's the right thing to do.
Now, Marvin, looking back many years, no one has actually been charged with the crime that you were initially charged and sentenced with, right?
Yes. Unfortunately, wrongful convictions impact more than just the exoneree. The victim or the victim's family is impacted because they never receive justice, or they receive something that they believe is true only to find out years later that it wasn't true. So now they're re-traumatized again. Community is affected by it, families affected by it, so it's a ripple effect anytime the wrong person go to prison for something.
I got to ask you, because you're here in Utah, and I know it was a short trip, but what are your impressions of Utah? Have you been here before?
No, this is my first time. It's absolutely beautiful. I love mountains and being surrounded by them. It's absolutely beautiful here. The buildings, the structure, absolutely beautiful. I love it.
So you've got one book out, another one coming, is that right?
Yes, I'm planning to release it in a few months. So people can follow me and kind of keep up with what I have going on.
Another thing that people asked you is how do you find a work? And you touched on how you had no ID and no way to get those identifications after you getting out of incarceration. So what is it that you do now, and how do you go about sharing the message in your story?
The effects of a wrongful conviction, it sets you up for failure. Walking out with no ID, no birth certificate, no social security card, no connections, no relationships, no know-how, behind on technology, everything. So a wrongful conviction sets you up for failure. So starting from that 0 point, rebuilding a life, it was very difficult to do.
Now, if people want to learn more about where they can get the book, I did hear today it's on Amazon, it's a bestseller.
Yeah.
But if they want to learn more about you, where can they find that information?
You can follow me on LinkedIn, also Marvin Cotton Jr. You can follow me on Facebook, Marvin Cotton Jr. And I'm also on Instagram too. I'm not hard to find if you Google my name.
How about the website?
Website, www.betternotbrokenllc.org.
What's the next big thing here for the Innocence Center? Today's event was so great to see so many people come out and support. What's next for you guys?
Event-wise, it'll be sometime in the fall, celebrating International Wrongful Conviction Day, which is October 2nd of every year. Like I said, it's also the 25th anniversary for RMIC, so there will be a nice celebration for that in the fall. In the meantime, we'll just continue working on our cases and serving the clients in our 3-state region.
Well, thank you both for including me in a very small way today. It was great to be there and to be in the room. And where can people learn more about RMIC?
At rminnocence.org.
Wonderful.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming in.
Honored to be here.
For making the time before your flight out. A great piece this morning here with these two in a large group. And if you'd like to learn more, find them on the internet.
And if you would like to support the Rocky Mountain Innocence Project and people just like Dr. Marvin Cotton Jr., you can donate at givebetter.com/RMIC25.